Greetings. I've made this show for the new year, and I want to talk about Gurdjieff's strivings. And it might be a good initiative to try and look at his strivings for a start of a new year. Many of us are supposed to have resolutions. Who needs resolutions? Well, we could do Gurdjieff's strivings, but of course, it doesn't have to be from the new year. It could be any time of the year. Could be watching this video anytime, but something to think about, of studying his strivings and implementing them into your life. And of course, these are from All and Everything. And it's from the Ashiata Shirmash chapter, The Organization by Ashiata Shirmash. So I'm going to start off by reading them. And he's saying, all the beings of this planet then began to work in order to have in their consciousness this divine function of genuine conscience, something we're all attaining to. And for this purpose, as everywhere in the universe, they transubstantiated in themselves what are called the being Obligolnian Strivings, which consist of the following 5, namely, the first striving, to have in their ordinary being existence everything satisfying and really necessary for their planetary body. The second striving, to have a constant and unflagging instinctive need for self-perfection in the sense of being. The third, the conscious striving to know ever more and more concerning the laws of world creation and world maintenance. The fourth, the striving from the beginning of their existence to pay for their arising and their individuality as quickly as possible, in order afterwards to be free to lighten as much as possible the sorrow of our common Father. 5, the striving always to assist the most rapid perfecting of other beings, both those similar to oneself and those of other beings, both those similar to oneself and those of other forms, up to the degree of the sacred Martfort I, that is, up to the degree of self-individuality. So starting with the first striving, we're having it into our ordinary being existence, everything satisfying and really necessary for their planetary body. So that's working upon ourselves and making sure we're not taking in malevolent energies, eating wrong food, crap food, or taking in wrong vibrations, crap vibrations that are going to bring us down. Instead, we want to be doing something that helps our body to live, and not just our body, all our centers. You know, we want right thinking, right feeling, right being. So, first off, we're looking after ourselves, and then second off, to have a constant and unflagging instinctive need for self-perfection in the sense of being. That need to want to do this work, that need to perfect oneself, that need to fulfill one's aims so that one develops to one's highest being. And then thirdly, the conscious striving to know ever more and more concerning the laws of world creation and world maintenance. Well, Gurdjieff's talking about this throughout the books of these laws. And this is something, once we can attune to them, then we're working with the divine source, with his endlessness, and not caught up in the laws of accident. Instead, we'll be working with the laws of fate and, well, doing the right thing. And fourth, the striving from the beginning of their existence to pay for their arising and their individuality as quickly as possible. As Gurdjieff reminds us, we've got this one life to do this in. We might have a chance in the next life, but we've got the opportunity here. Let's do it. Let's get it. Let's perfect ourselves. And I know many people are sitting there going, no, I can't do it. Or things knock us back, but we just get back up on our feet and go forwards and continue this work. Continue working on ourselves as quickly as we can. We're trying to take it all in to develop ourselves and to be the better person that we are. And then fifthly, striving always to assist the most rapid perfecting of other beings. Other people need help, need aid in this. Gurdjieff talks about the ladder, going up the ladder. There's always someone behind us. There's always someone in front of us. We're supposed to be getting help from above and helping those below us. Though many people don't want help, but we can be examples of what they can attain towards being. We can help them in their going forth, help them awaken to their consciousness, or help them awaken to their consciousness that they can be awake, help them realize that they're quite asleep to all this and need to waken up and develop themselves and work upon themselves. So they're the 5 strivings to be working upon. Gurdjieff's written this out for us in the best way possible, I think, though one has to fathom the gist of these. We take in these strivings, let them settle within us, ponder upon them and work upon them. But C.S. Knott says in his book, let me just find his book. C.S. Knott reminds us the first striving, satisfying here, has nothing to do with gratification. We have an obligation to strive to keep the body in health, to satisfy its needs as far as we can, in order that it shall be a good instrument for our use, ready for the use of our intelligence. A special skill obtained at the expense of elasticity is against objective morality. The ideal development should be in the direction of wholeness. And that's what we're trying to become, a whole person. And as many people talk about holistic medicines or holistic way of being, holistic as in HOLISTIC, well, that's a holy way of being. He's talking here about the whole, WHOLE, but it's still an important word. We're being holy. We're trying to be holy at doing this work. We're attaining to the divine and to our higher selves. And he says for the second striving, a state based on a real knowing in order to do, the growth of essence, the achieving of being. We know when we have made being effort by doing small things voluntarily, always a little ahead of inclination. And again, we're achieving to work on our being so that we can become the being that we are supposed to be, a totally whole being, a holistic being, so that we can go forward and develop ourselves to work with the divine source and with all these laws of world maintenance and world reciprocation and such like. And it's something we have to put into ourselves all the time, but it's difficult because we get distracted, don't we, so easily. And Knott reminds us the third striving, the aim of true philosophy is the understanding of life. And I can't go on about that enough to people. People say I'm always querying about what life is. Just sit back and enjoy it. Well, yeah, sit back and enjoy it, but also to understand life helps you to understand what your part is in life, who you are, why you are here, what you are supposed to do, how you're supposed to go about it. It was all the questions. Where are you? Where are you in your soul development? And those that tell me just to sit back and enjoy life, fine, maybe that's what they want to do. I don't know what's going on in their heads some of the time, but I feel that a lot of them aren't doing any kind of spiritual work. It's fine if that's what if they don't want to, they don't have to. But I want to work on myself so that I'm part of the cosmos, part of the divine source's work. And so that I know that by working upon myself, I can then develop myself so I can get to them higher realms, contact my higher self, contact the divine source up there, and work towards that. I feel like there is a meaning to life, and that is the evolution of this planet and us humans. The divine source didn't just plonk us here for no reason. There's a mission behind it all, but that's been swept away over the millennia, as Gurdjieff describes, as humanity turned onto a more materialistic, rational way of thinking and being. God disappeared, or spirituality, religion is still out there, but it's not as implicit or important in that many people's lives anymore. Maybe they feel their lives aren't empty, but I would find my life very empty without this kind of work to do. I want to be the best that I can be, and it's a continuing striving. I'm constantly working on this. I slip up quite a bit, as we all do. But from the mistakes, we get up and start again and keep going. And as Knott says here, the dignity of man consists in his concern with the questions. In every situation, there is material for questioning. With one faculty, one is inquiring, while with others, one is behaving ordinarily. Socrates, I think this is a quote, the realization of ignorance is the beginning of wisdom. I know nothing, so there's so much out there for me to learn. I've met people who believe they know everything. I've seen them slip up on a few things, but when you think you know it all, you're not going to go any further in your life. You're not going to develop yourself any further. You're just going to sit back and think, what is there to learn? But there's always something new to learn, whether it's about yourself, other people, life itself, the universe. There's always something one can learn, which should help one in their development. And not also says, Gurdjieff said, you will find that the more you realize you don't know, the more you will understand. Anyway, Notch talks about the fourth striving. Genuinely speaking, all of us are parasites. Not one of us has discharged his debt to nature, which in a way is what we're paying back as well. You know, the world doesn't owe us anything. We owe everything to the world, and we owe everything to the divine source. So again, saying about people here, I've heard people say the world owes me. No, it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. Anyway, continuing from Not. To be alive is a unique miracle. To have the possibility of being in place of non-being. Think of what it has cost nature in the preparation of planetary conditions, the long periods of experiment, perhaps, so that in addition to serving her, we might become sons of the Father. We're serving planet Earth to help her evolve and develop and go up in her evolution and what her next stage is. You know, we don't know when that'll be, but it's happening now. She needs our energies, our thought patterns, our good intentions being put into her. Otherwise, she doesn't evolve, but she will. There's enough of us to do it. But it's the same for us. When we're getting other people's intentions and vibrations or whatever put onto us, it can affect us. Someone's horrible to you, your solar plexus is all over the place. Someone's nice to you, you feel it in your heart. So it's all good vibrations, bad vibrations, but how they're affecting you. Right, so Not's been saying about how we need to serve Earth and then we might become sons of the Father, also daughters, obviously, sons and daughters of the Father. And in return, what do? We behave in the family of nature like self-indulgent children whose only object is to enjoy ourselves. Ponder on the way we exploit natural resources, land, forests, and animals for the gratification of abnormal desires. You cannot help but be appalled. Okay, I know a lot of people are going to be on the old climate change one here and perhaps XR and Greta going on about stuff. There's certain things that are happening, certain things are happening because of the solenness stage of the sun at the moment, which I've done a little show on. But we do make things worse with all our littering. I think one thing about climate change, if it teaches people to put their litter in the bins or to pick up litter, I think that's a good thing. Let's look after this planet instead of just disregard her and just throw our crap everywhere. And Not says, it is astonishing that nature permits the members of the human race to continue their existence. I wonder that myself. I'm sure many of you might remember in The Matrix when was it Mr. Anderson says, you know, we're all parasites. We are, the way we treat this planet. We need some respect for the planet. We need some respect for the divine source, and we need some respect for ourselves and other people. Respect goes a long way. But there's a difference between bowing down to someone and doing what they say to having respect for someone because they have a conscience and that they are doing something because they believe it's for the good of one and all. So the fifth striving, Not says, we must discriminate between gratifying the weaknesses of others in order to obtain their good opinion of ourselves. Oh God, don't we do that? Try and make people like us. We shouldn't care whether people like us or not. We should just get on and be ourselves. And helping them to become what they really wish to be. And many people misuse people to try and get to be what they really wish to be. But what do you really wish to be? Are you working on striving number 1 and number 2 to develop yourself to be the best you can be? But we can only become hard on others when we have learned to be doubly hard on ourselves, because this is all about being judgmental on others as well. And we've got to remember that everybody dies. Look at each person, that person will one day die. It's difficult not to be judgmental. I see some people really wasting their lives. I see some people being really awful to other people and thinking that it's okay for them to bully and such like. But there are also nice people and good people out there. I do find that sometimes bullies take people like ourselves that are working on ourselves as being a real pain in their life because it irks at their conscience, and then they want to bring us down, and they will do their best to bring us down. And we've got to not let them do that. But there are people out there that want to develop, need people to look up, well, not necessarily look up to, but to see as examples of how we could be, exemplars of how to work on ourselves. I know I bet people put me on a pedestal, and I have to tell them, take me off that pedestal. But I can help you in certain ways, and you help me in other ways. So we all help each other. It's a good thing. It's a circle that goes round and round. The one real service we can render to others is a service that will help them to discharge their functions as human beings. There is a key here to what is sometimes called Gurdjieff's ruthless behaviour. He is completely indifferent to what others think of him. When he has humiliated you before others, then a week after, or perhaps a month or a year, there will come to you a feeling of gratitude and an awareness of increased inner strength. And it is difficult to be put down by people. And it is difficult to be put down and shouted at by someone we've put on a pedestal, which is why we shouldn't really put people on pedestals. But there are sometimes people that know better than us. But as long as they're not living their ego in that way of knowing or thinking that they're better than us, we're all supposed to be here to help each other. But then someone like Gurdjieff, who obviously is not man number one, number two, or number three, he's a higher man and higher than us and can show us how to be, then we need to be ready to take that kind of hard-hitting telling off, because sometimes we're just not aware of what we're doing, or we are aware but we can't quite implement what it is we're supposed to be doing. Or sometimes we're just being, oh, look at me being a fool, and want to be told off because it's a bit of attention. Like, I would love to go and scream at people, wake up, but it wouldn't be any good to people that don't want to wake up. That's not going to help them. But then I know a lot of people who are waking up but then fall back asleep again. Have I got the right to go and tell them to wake up, get back on their spiritual path? I don't know, really. But if it's helping someone, and I know that it would, I'd do it. But some people I can see, as I was saying in a previous show, I think it was the last show I did, some people love going down the dark path and down the conspiracy path. So they're taking themselves off the spiritual track into lower vibrational strivings to distract them from doing their own work on themselves, because they're getting caught up in and immersed in other things like dark stuff that's going on that's talked about in conspiracy theories. I think it's good to look at these kind of things, but not get distracted into them or pulled into them so that that's all you're discussing and thinking about. You need to still be working upon yourself and finding the light and love in life, in yourself and in the divine source, and bringing that down, calling that in. So not ends this bit about the five strivings. The five strivings of objective morality contain the essence of the Gurdjieff method. But before we are able to strive in the right way, we must understand the meaning of conscious labour and voluntary suffering. For on these two basic principles, being part dog duty and the strivings, hang all the law and prophesizing of the Gurdjieff system. They form a basic octave, and nothing can be added or taken away from them. And the being part dog duty, let me find, I've got a quote here from it somewhere. To pay respects to each other only according to the merits personally attained by means of being part dog duty. And that's from All and Everything, page 384. Being part dog duty is kind of like know thyself, know others. It's kind of like the golden rule of being kind to others, do to others what you want to have done to yourself, but at the same time being aware of what you're doing, how you're being. But once we start pondering on the 5 strivings and working on ourselves with them 5 strivings, and also taking into account the being part dog duty, we should hopefully start working within, making things happen, and be developing ourselves as well. And I wanted to end with some quotes from Margaret Anderson. She wrote a wonderful book on Gurdjieff. Obviously, she was there with him back in the day. And when I first came to the Gurdjieff work, and I've read all the Gurdjieff writings, her book was the first one I read that wasn't by either Gurdjieff or Ouspensky. And I found her writings, her reminiscences of being with Gurdjieff really helped me. Well, all the books that are written by people who were with Gurdjieff help. But at that time, obviously, I needed that book. And so I just wanted to do a quick quote from her book where she's talking about the 5 strivings. And she writes, preserve your life, be just to the body, satisfy its needs, treat it as a good master treats a good servant. Number 2, find your place in the scheme, understand the meaning and aim of existence. Number 3, develop yourself, improve your being, make being efforts. 4, help others to develop. 5, pay back to lighten the load of the creator. Pay back in gratitude and effort for the fact that evolution has helped you to get this far. And I think, she's put it wonderfully there. It's kind of simplistic, but at the same time very concise and just what we need for understanding these 5 strivings, because then we can go on. We've got a basic understanding of them with them quotes, and then we can go and ponder the actual words of Gurdjieff so they enter into us, and we can gurgitate on them. We can ponder on them. But it is very important to be grateful. It's one of the most important parts of any kind of spiritual path, gratitude. Thanks be to the divine source for putting us here. Thanks be to the world for letting us roam upon it and do our work. We have to thank our parents for bringing us into this world. Thank our friends and colleagues for giving us the resources to work upon ourselves, and our family to give us the resources to work upon ourselves with the incidences and situations they put us into. We should be grateful all the time, say our prayers at the end of the day and say thanks to the divine source for getting us through this day and make us safe through the night, and be thankful to each and every person we encounter, each and everything we do, each and every situation we're in. It can be difficult sometimes. I know we spend a lot of times going, why me? But these things are there for us to develop. So may you go forward developing yourselves. I thank you for watching. I've got other shows on the channel on Gurdjieff that you can go through and hopefully will help you develop your own path. Most of my shows are to do like this one of quotes, and it's to encourage you to go and read the books because they're in there, or go and listen to someone reading it, because these people knew how to put forward what it is we need to do on ourselves. So that's my mission, I think, just to encourage you all to go forward and work upon yourselves by finding the direct sources. So thank you for listening.